Joining us now via Zoom. I'm not sure where Senator Runestad is, but we're going to find out. It looks like he's kind of comfy, maybe in his home. Senator, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Yes, I'm here at home and in White Lake Township.
Well, thank you for joining us via Zoom, and our viewers on TV could see you. Our listeners on the radio can hear you. How are things going, first of all, for you and your family? And is everybody healthy and all right?
Everybody's healthy. We're kind of hunkered down like everybody else, and try to be safe and not to interact with the public any more than absolutely necessary. So we're doing everything we can to do the social distancing like everyone's trying to do. But yeah, everybody's safe here.
How did that go? And we'll get to your reaction to the governor's order in a minute. But how did that go when you and the other lawmakers earlier this week had to go back to Lansing and vote in person? You were not able to do what the municipalities have been doing and have Zoom meetings like they're doing in the counties and in the municipalities. You guys had to be there in person. How did that work out?
Well, we felt it was a constitutional issue. It's undetermined whether we would be able to meet remotely like some of these other local municipalities are able to do. So we met. We knew we had the votes to pass the extension through the end of the month. The governor was asking for a 70-day extension, but what we've discovered with this virus is that it's day by day, hour by hour, week by week, and there's constantly changing the scenario with the medical situation. So we wanted to take it in a more thoughtful, progressive approach. So we will be revisiting this at the end of the month and determining whether we're going to do another extension or not. But we want to make sure we're very thoughtful in how we proceed.
State Senator Jim Runestad on the line with us. Dave Scott, Tyler Keefe in our studios in West Bloomfield. Senator via Zoom at his home in White Lake joining us. So, Senator, your reaction to the governor's announcement yesterday, the nuts and bolts of that are a extension till April 30th for the stay-at-home order and a number of other provisions. What are your thoughts?
Well, overall, we concur that to the absolute degree we can, we want people safe. We want them distancing from others, and that part made sense. What we disagreed with was whether a job is essential or safe is the big concern. We absolutely want jobs that people could do safely. And she put together what she said was essential that there was some disagreement on. As an example, if a individual has a lawn mowing service and can go out, mow lawns, never interact with the customer, which is when we get our lawn mowed here, the individual drives up by himself, mows the lawn, leaves, invoices us electronically. We never touch a piece of paper. It's completely safe. It's as safe as someone going to the park, which the governor has said is permissible. So we're working on some recommendations for the governor now. We have a work group in the Senate looking at jobs that we believe can be done safely. That are currently prohibited. And that's an area that we hope we can reach an agreement with the governor by the end of the month.
You know, Senator, it's a valid debate. Let's not get partisan here. You're a Republican, she's a Democrat. I think everybody knows that. But this doesn't have to be a heavily partisan thing here. This is a valid debate. One side, we're going to just lock it down, and we're going to lock it down as much as we can. The other side, maybe we need to be a little bit more business focused, and together we're going to come up with the right answer. It seems like a valid debate, no matter where you weigh in, don't you think?
Absolutely. It really should not be a partisan debate. It's one of the things that I think that the public really wants to see is all the elected officials, to the degree possible, are working in unity for the best of the state of Michigan. And that's a disagreement that we have with the governor. She believes that all of these categories of jobs where you're outdoors working by yourself is unsafe because, as she said, well, you pump gas. Well, if you go to the park, which she said is permissible, it's a low risk. You may have to pump gas to go to the park. So we're looking at what is the risk level, what is a job that can be done safely. And there are jobs that we believe currently are being prohibited that can be done safely. And we have to look at this condition may go on for a long, long period of time. So it can't be one size fit all slapdash. It's got to be very, very thoughtful. So we're working with a bipartisan committee that has been appointed at the Senate. We have Republicans and Democrats looking at the jobs that we believe can safely be done, and then we will make that recommendation to the governor.
Do you have a sense? So it's good to hear that Democrats and Republicans are working together on this, and you have a committee working together on it. Do you have a sense that the governor's office is open and interested to hearing some alternative ideas as well, and engaging in that conversation?
Well, the governor's not only the governor herself, but the governor's people are extremely busy and hard to reach. So I personally have not interacted with her. I've called the liaison, and it's very difficult even to get in touch with the liaison. So I'd have to defer to what's going on with leadership, our leadership, and what their interaction was. And some ideas she seems open to, and some she's very close to. So it's an issue by issue situation.
Looking at it mechanically, I'm doing everything I can to not step in it here. So if I do, I apologize, folks who are tuning in. But, I thought about it when I was reading the governor's order this morning. Take a look at every word. I don't care where you weigh in. It's not easy to even write that document. It's not easy to draw the lines. And, and when these orders first came out, she had her order, and then the Attorney General had to go back and try and sort it out and define it. To try to put an order of this magnitude together and have it work and apply to everybody, it's almost an impossible proposition in the first place.
It's a big job, and I don't fault her for finding the difficulties in putting together this massive executive order, but I think that she would be well served to listen to the legislature and our concerns on jobs that we believe can be done absolutely safely, and to keep people employed that you may not have an alternative. I mean, there's some people that have a business, and they're not going to get unemployment. And if their business goes under, they lose everything. If it's unsafe, well, they're just going to have to suffer the consequences. But if they're able to operate safely, I don't see why we can't say go ahead and work in that safe environment.
Senator Jim Runestad is on the line with us here in the MegaCast. I'm Dave Scott along with Tyler Keefe. Thank you for joining us on our municipal television channels and these great radio stations that have come together. Senator, you should know that the school districts, they are just doing such an amazing job right now, feeding people, educating people, working hard, and even lending their radio stations to us so we can broadcast around the county. It's just one example of just everyone, industry, Ford Motor Company, Suburban Showplace. There's so many people right here in our region that are stepping up, and I couldn't even, emergency people, first responders, the hospitals. Can you remember a time when we've all come together right now to deal with something like this? It warms my heart when I think about it.
Yeah, it's amazing how wonderful it is to see so many members of the community pulling together. I see it everywhere I go. I commented on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that I had more people calling me with real emotional concern about what's happening than in 5 years of elected office in the legislature. It was just an outpouring. But the thing that amazed me is that not one person was angry, was adding recrimination, this or that should have been done. They wanted to know, what can the state do or what can they do. It was really an amazing experience to hear the reaction in this terrible, terrible environment, how people were pulling together and wanting to see what they can do to make a difference. I've had call after call of people saying, I have supplies that I can deliver. What can I do? It's been an amazing experience.
Is the state hanging in there financially? I mean, there's all these things that need to get funded. Are we going to be okay? Or is the state getting money from the federal government? Or how are things going? Or is that just something we don't need to worry about at this time, and we'll worry about it later?
No, it's going to be a big concern. There was a supplemental appropriation that the legislature and the governor agreed needed to be slashed because we don't know what the revenues are going to be going forward. And my guess is that we're going to be having a deficit of revenue this year and next year. There's going to be a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of cuts that are going to be have to be made. So we're looking at the revenue projections, the number of people on unemployment, companies that may fail, people that can't purchase real estate, cars. It's going to be a big impact on the economy. So we think we're going to be doing negative budgets. There's going to be a lot of cuts, unfortunately, in the next few years.
Well, cleaning all this up, Jim Runestad, state senator's going to be a handful. Getting through the day-to-day right now is also a handful. Any update? And I know it's not necessarily your job to deal with the day-to-day administration of government, but any insight you can give us into how things are going for people that are trying to file for unemployment and the things that we can do to make that a little easier for people, or how's that going?
Well, it's been a real problem with the technology to be able to handle the hundreds of thousands of applications for unemployment. And my understanding is that that's improving, but the system wasn't built for a massive hundreds of thousands of applications that it's had to absorb to try to process these applications. Again, I understand that it's getting better. The governor has promised to put more people on the job. So hopefully that's going to improve, because people need to be assured that they're going to have money coming in to feed their families. So it's a top priority.
Senator, anything else you'd like to add that folks in your district, in our area, might find helpful to know?
Well, if they have any concerns, don't hesitate to give my office a call. We are still working, answering the phones, emails. We're there. I get calls, emails, texts all day long from the time I get up until the time I go to sleep. A lot of them come to my personal cell phone. So we're working as hard as we can. The staff is working 7 days a week. So if they have concerns, don't hesitate to get in touch with our office.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that, because that's what I've always used my state representatives and senators for. If something got snagged in Lansing that impacted me or my business, or I just wanted to voice my opinion, we were always able to do it. And if that was disconnected from constituents right now, it'd be a problem. So I'm glad to hear you're doing that. I know Steve Kaplan, who we just had on the line, I'm around him a lot. He'll stop anything to pick up a constituent's call, and we make that a high priority, and I know you do, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Good luck with everything. We've got some challenging days ahead of us, but I'm sure we're going to get through it, and we'd like to stay in touch with you, and I appreciate you taking time for our viewers and listeners today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and have a great weekend.
All right. You too. Best to you during this Easter Passover holiday, and best to all of you who are tuning in. He is our state senator for many of you in our listening and viewing area, Jim Runestad, joining us from his home in White Lake. I'm Dave Scott. He's Tyler Keefe.